going? Yes, it is. At least I think so. Oh, yep, there's the timer. Okay, hello. It has been quite a while. I guess that's what I get for losing my password, actually. Oh, hold on. Can't see. Why are you booting down? Okay, there we go. That was weird. Hello again. As you know, my name is Timmy, and here is another mental health and convention tips and tricks video, but I need to figure out a better thing to call these. Today's topic is going to be conventions and cosplay when you have chronic pain. I am someone who has chronic pain that doesn't quite have a diagnosis yet. My doctors know that I am in pain a lot of the time. They suspect it's fibromyalgia, but we haven't settled on that. Most of my pain is actually in my back, and sometimes it can go into my stomach, my hips, and my legs if it gets bad enough. You might hear scratching at my door. It's my dogs. They don't like hearing me talk and me not being with them. Where my pain generally is at is up here towards the bottom of my neck and the very top of my back where my shoulder blades are. It's gotten a lot better because I've been working on my posture quite a bit the last couple of years. I've been sitting up straighter, not looking down as much at books or games and stuff like that. For the most part, when people would touch me back there, I couldn't even have my mom touch me. It was like painful to the touch. And now it's a little bit better. There has been can't speak today. My doctors I have had x-rays, and they suspect it's either fibromyalgia or it might be a slip disc that I can't see, which I'm honestly not too sure about, honestly. The next place where I have pain is in my lower back, actually, right at the base of my spine, and sometimes it does shoot up into the middle, which is the most painful spot for me. It happens if I'm sitting for too long, if I lay down for too long, even if I'm standing and walking around too much. And they suspect it may be because of some slight scoliosis in my back. That is just enough that I have some issues with my balance and I have some pain in the area, but it's not concerning enough to warrant surgery or a back brace. I mean, I could go with one of those options, of course, if I wanted to fix it, but since I seem to manage my pain pretty well on my own, I have decided not to, just because I don't want to go through that whole process. And with my back pain in the lower area, like if I'm at a con where you're standing up and standing up, you're not really sitting down, you're constantly walking, it will actually spread to my hips, which is a very painful spot, especially when, of course, I've been walking around. It won't quite get down to my knees, but my knees will start to shake pretty bad. At least that's what I found, especially in the last couple of days, because I just got back from FanX yesterday, which kind of is what inspired me to make this video, because my chronic pain has been getting a little bit worse, but it's also still in something manageable, so I thought I would come and talk about it. How I manage my pain really depends on where it's at, because if it's all in my back, I usually can't really do anything about it. Painkillers aren't really something that helps me. Sometimes I'll take an Aleve if it's in my lower back. Otherwise, I probably won't take anything. Usually what I'll do is I will find a spot like near a wall like this, and I will sit completely back so that my head rests like that, rests back so that it's touching the wall, and so that my lower back is also touching the wall. It's not the most comfortable position for my neck, which is why I only do it with my lower pain, because it does take the pressure off my spine a little bit. and it helps me relax into a better position to where I'm not hurting as much. When it happens in my upper back, there's really just not a ton I can do about it. Usually it gets into my shoulders. Like, I'll probably go like this a lot. Like, if I wear a backpack, like I was the last 2 days at the con, my shoulders really start to ache, and it spreads to my upper back, which really sucks. And if my upper back gets bad enough, it'll go into my lower back, which is kind of a bummer because that means I am completely screwed. I usually have to sit down for at least an hour if it is all up on my torso, because it's really painful. What I do for my upper back is there's really not a whole bunch I can do while I'm out, which is, I'm not really sure what to recommend for that, because usually if I am out in public, sometimes I will bring my knees up like this, and it will lean forward and kind of take the pressure off of that, but it doesn't help completely. If I can take my bag off and sit down for a while and have someone like rub essential oils onto my back, it helps, but most of the time when I'm in cosplay, that's not really possible for me because I don't want to just take my clothes off in the middle of a convention. You know, there's tons of people around, and I'm sure no one wants to see that anyway. So there's not a whole lot I can do. I have found that there's a product. I will link it down in the description if I can find the shop name, but there is a lotion out there called Deep Blue. It gets down into your pores quite a bit, and it is very helpful with a lot of my body pain. Like, I get a lot of like wrist and arm pains because I do a lot of handwriting for my notes when I have a writing project that I need done. I use it on my lower back sometimes when it's bad enough. I do love it for my upper back. My only thing is I don't buy it a whole lot just because it's a little bit pricey for me, but that's coming from someone that doesn't really have a job at the moment, so that is an option. I also really like, hold on, let me grab my bottle. Get down without breaking my neck. That would be wonderful. Okay. I also really like using essential oils, both for my anxiety. I did talk about these in my conventions with anxiety video, which I think I'm going to do an updated version of that because I have some new things that I do. But I like the doTERRA essential oils. I really like this one. It's their Balance blend, and it's supposed to have, it's called Balance. Sorry, I'm so stuttery today. It's called Balance. It's a grounding blend, and what's in it, if you have really sensitive skin, it can cause a little bit of redness. I've noticed that because I use it on my neck quite a bit if I'm anxious. And if you have like allergies to, like if your nose is just really sensitive, it might be a little strong because it has a spruce leaf extract, it has rosewood oil, frankincense oil, blue tansy oil, and fractionated coconut oil. I actually really like it. The way I would describe it is, it smells like a forest. Like, if you've been somewhere where you smell, if you like bring pine needles or something of that sort of thing, like up to your face and just breathe it in really deeply, it smells a lot like that, and it can be a little harsh to your nose, especially if you use too much of it. Generally, I usually just do a small dab on my wrist that way, because in school I would lean on my wrist a lot, so I would be able to smell it, and aromatherapy helped my anxiety quite a bit. It does help with my upper back a little bit. It's not as much as the Deep Blue, honestly. but it does help. I also really like to use like other lotions from Bath and Body Works. I don't have any on hand at the moment, but I love their aromatherapy section. Like I use their sleep for my sleeping problems, which is, I believe it's lavender and chamomile is the scent in that. Their stress relief is really good. That I think that I want to say that it's eucalyptus and mint, but I'm not completely sure. I will link everything that I use down in the description, just so that's there. I'll link you to the Bath and Body Works site where you can find it. I also really like the energy out of their aromatherapy line, which is, I believe it's ginger. It's ginger and I think orange. Orange, I think. I'm really not sure. Sometimes my pain does get like down into my stomach. It's not as bad now. I've actually been treated for chronic nausea, which is a whole other thing that factors into my pain. But I would get really bad stomach aches, and I actually threw up about every morning and sometimes every evening for about 2.5 years, from about my 9th grade year to, I want to say, the beginning of 11th grade. Then I got on some medication after going to the doctor constantly because I was so sick. I was missing school. I was just not wanting to go out as much because I felt sick all the time, and it really sucked. What I did for that, if you don't want to go to the doctor, that whole debacle, if you're having chronic nausea and stomach pain like that, what I would do in the morning was I could only have a piece of bread, was the thing. So I would have a piece of bread because it kind of soaks up your stomach acid a little bit and helps everything to be a little settled down, because mine was caused by, I don't remember the technical name for it, but it's basically where your stomach produces too much stomach acid, and it kind of wreaks havoc in there and makes you nauseous, which it doesn't feel good. It really doesn't. I believe he said I had like the beginnings of ulcers, but they never like truly developed because I was managing my stress pretty well, but because of my anxiety, they were like coming in. I was getting ulcers. Luckily, we found it and stopped, and I could kind of manage it, and now I don't experience it as much anymore. I would also, during the day, I would take a tin of Altoids to school with me. Peppermint and ginger are really good for your stomach if you have nausea. I would say I ate maybe 2 mints per class, actually, just because with the factor in of my anxiety and the chronic nausea and the overproduction of stomach acid, I was so sick all the time. Like, I felt like I was gonna throw up most of the time, I would say. When I would get home, I would usually try to have a cup of tea. Peppermint tea really helped me. I put a lot of sugar in mine, which kind of didn't help. I would recommend taking it without anything in it. Just drink peppermint tea or ginger tea. Chamomile is really good too. I would only really drink chamomile when I was getting ready for bed, just because it makes me sleepy. And it did disrupt my sleeping pattern quite a bit, because my stomach would just try to revolt against me during the night. I could not sleep. Another thing that helped me during the night was a body pillow, actually, or putting a pillow like between my legs would really help, and kind of curling up almost like in fetal position. That kind of helped. I don't know why that helps, honestly. It did for me, and it actually helps with my cramps when I'm going through my menstrual cycle too. So that's kind of what I do for a basic like abdominal pain. Is I put a pillow between my legs, or in my case a body pillow. I'll wrap my arms around another one, or again my body pillow, and I will just lay and watch TV while I'm curled up somewhere, because that's all I can basically do when my stomach hurts that bad. Another thing that did really help, I keep saying that, another thing, oh, and another thing, it's ridiculous. But another thing that did help was this oil, actually. My bottle is still almost completely full. I think I got this in like the end of 10th grade, so I didn't end up using it too much because I got on some good medication that helped my stomach. But it's called DiGiZen plant. It's by, I don't know if the Plant Therapy is the brand or what, but it's 100% essential oil. It's called DiGiZen, and this is what it looks like. I know it's probably backwards, but, and what's in here, I did find, like, if you do use something like this, I would recommend doing it little by little, because if I used too much, honestly, it would sting on my stomach, because that's where I would apply it. It is really strong. I'm not a fan of the smell either. It's really not great. I'm not going to uncap this and tell you what it smells like, because I've thankfully forgotten how it does. I'm not willing to go through that again. I'm going to try it. I want to see. It says it's recommended you dilute well in a carrier oil and apply to the abdomen. So that would be, I would follow that advice, because that's probably why I had such a hard time with it. And let's see. It contains peppermint, anise, I don't know how to say that, ginger, tarragon, fennel, and lemongrass, which is actually really good for your digestive system. All of that is really great. If I can find a website for them, I will link it down in the description. Otherwise, it's just called DiGiZen Plant Therapy Essential Oil Synergy is what the label says. And that's pretty much everything I've ever done to help my chronic pain, whether it be at cons or otherwise. Like, I'm trying to think of what else, because I know food is a good factor. Like, if you're having some stomach pains or even back pain, I found that just eating something at a con sometimes makes it better, because it's sometimes just me being hungry, and I usually don't eat a lot at cons anyway, just because my anxiety makes me really nauseous. But, ooh, I wonder if I have any C-bands. No, I don't. Of course I don't. I might. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, nope. Okay. One other thing that I have done is I wear C-bands, which are basically these little bracelets that fit tightly around your wrist, and they have like this little almost like a half marble embedded into the bracelet. It's like a pressure point on your wrist that is actually supposed to reduce your nausea. I use that all the time because I get car sick very easy as well. So if I'm going on a train, if I'm going to be in a car for a long period of time, usually when I go to cons, I wear them just because my anxiety makes me nauseous, and I really don't want to get sick at a con. I would wear them at school all the time when I was still having my nausea issues, but it was a really, really big help. I highly recommend. They're a little bit expensive, but I love mine. I will probably never get rid of mine, and when they wear out, I will buy them again. They are amazing. I love them to pieces. I think that's about it for my general advice and stuff that you can do. This is all based off my own experience, so I really can't say if it will or will not work for you, but it's something to try. That's what this is all about. It's just giving you something to try, because I know that I got really frustrated when I couldn't figure out like how I was going to do everything and how I was going to manage all of this. Like, I had tried pain pills, like Aleve didn't help me. Ibuprofen messed up it would help my pain, but it messed up my stomach. Ibuprofen's really hard on your stomach, so it made my nausea so much worse, and I was just so sick of being sick all the time. So I do hope that this has helped somebody, even if you have listened to, let's see, how much is it? 20 minutes now. 20 minutes of my rambling just to get some tips. Wow. I'm going to try and cut this down a little bit. I finally got some video editing software, praise the Lord. But I don't know how to use it, so we'll see how long this video ends up being in the end. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this another tip video. Let's go with that. Alright, my name is Timmy, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.